How much time do you spend imagining the worst case scenario? Actually, think about it. How many hours have you spent picturing futures where you fail, where things don't work out, where you don't get what you want? You imagine sending a message and being left on red, starting a project and everyone thinks it's stupid, speaking up and saying the wrong thing, trying something new and failing publicly, being vulnerable and getting hurt. You play these futures out in vivid detail. You feel them, you live them, even though they haven't happened. And here's the thing, you're really good at it. You can imagine 10 things going wrong without even trying. Your brain just goes there. But when was the last time you spent that same energy imagining what could go right? When was the last time you explored the version of your future where things do work out? Probably almost never, because imagining positive futures feels fake, unrealistic, like you're lying to yourself. But it's not your imagination that's the problem, it's your identity filtering which imagined reality feels true. See, here's the psychology. Humans pre live the future they unconsciously expect. Your brain simulates the future that matches your self concept because it feels safer and more predictable. It prepares you emotionally, it protects you from disappointment. So you're not imagining the worst case scenario because you're negative. You're imagining them because they match who you currently believe you are. But here's the cost, you're pre living failure over and over. Every time you imagine the worst happening, you feel the rejection, the disappointment, the shame. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagined experience and real experience when it comes to emotional impact. So you end up training yourself to feel like failure is already happening, like rejection is inevitable, like disappointment is guaranteed. Because you've rehearsed that future so many times, it feels like the only possible one. Meanwhile, you almost never rehearse the positive outcome. You never let yourself feel what success might be like, what getting what you want would feel like, what good things happening could feel like. You've made the negative future more real than the positive one simply by giving it more attention. So here's what needs to change. If you can spend 20 minutes imagining everything that could go wrong, you owe yourself 20 minutes imagining what could go right. Not as toxic positivity, not as just think happy, positive thoughts, but as balance, as fairness to yourself, as identity training. Because here's what you're actually doing when you imagine positive futures, you're teaching your nervous system that success is allowed. You're training your identity to tolerate a new timeline, one where you're the person things do work out for. You're creating a counter identity pathway. Every time you force yourself to give equal time to positive futures, you're proving to your brain that the successful version of you is allowed to exist, that it's possible, that it's real. You're not trying to shut down your negative imagination. You're just stopping it from being the only channel you're listening to. Next time you catch yourself spiraling into the worst case thinking, and you will because it's your default, don't fight it. Let it play out if it needs to. But then, and here's the rule, you have to match it. Spend the same amount of time imagining the best case scenario. If you imagine reaching out to someone and them thinking you're annoying, now imagine them being genuinely glad you reached out. Feel what it would feel like to have that connection deepen. You imagine sharing your work and people judging it. Now imagine someone finding real value in it. You imagine setting a boundary and then losing their relationship. Now imagine them respecting it. Imagine the relationship actually getting healthier because of it. Give the positive future the same vivid, detailed, emotional attention that you gave the negative one. Because your brain needs to know that both are possible, that success isn't foreign, that good outcomes aren't off limits to you. You're allowed to be the person things work out for. This isn't about lying to yourself or pretending that negative things won't happen. You're not denying risk or difficulty. You're just refusing to let your imagination be one sided. You're training your identity to include the version of you where things go right. And as you do, positive futures start feeling like something that could actually happen to you. And here's why this actually changes things, because the more you imagine something, the more real it becomes to your nervous system. Like, this is deep identity work. You're not just thinking more positively, you're literally expanding your sense of who you're allowed to be. Every time you imagine a positive future, you're teaching your brain, this version of me is possible. This outcome is allowed. I am capable of being the person that this works out for. And when that happens, something else shifts too. You start taking different actions because if success feels possible, you're more willing to try, to risk, to put yourself out there. You stop talking yourself out of opportunities. You stop assuming things that people are thinking about you. You stop making yourself small to avoid disappointment. You stop pre rejecting yourself because the positive outcome doesn't feel like a fantasy anymore. It feels like an actual option. Your imagination isn't the problem, it's incredibly powerful. You've just been using all that power in one direction. So it's time to balance the scales. Match your negative what ifs with positive what ifs, equal time, equal detail, equal investment. You owe yourself that much.